Welcome to the news on Enyimba TV. We are reaching you from Abia, the commercial and industrial hub of Abia State, Nigeria. First, here are the top stories. Federal government and organized labor reach agreement on new minimum wage. Abia workers may continue strike despite suspension of national strike action by organized labor. Resident doctors demand end to casualization of doctors. These and other stories, plus foreign business and sports shortly. Thanks for joining us on the news at this time. My name is Esther Chema. Now the news in details. 5 days after the killing of soldiers by some unknown gunmen at Obikabia Junction in Ogbor Hill, Abia, normalcy is gradually returning to the city, although residents are still afraid of reprisal by the military. Commercial activities have picked up with increase in vehicular movements in most parts of the city, and some of the markets which were earlier shut in the wake of the attack on the soldiers have now reopened for business. Some roads in Ogbor Hill area, where the unfortunate incident happened last Thursday, are still scanty as movement of people is partially restricted, particularly places like Ehere, Umuola, Ukaegbu, Ururuka. New Umuahia and Obikabia roads are still practically deserted, with only a handful of traffic as residents remain indoors. Troops are seen patrolling some of the streets in these areas. However, Enyimba TV News observed that soldiers have deserted some of the military checkpoints located at Junction, Bata Junction and Asa Road, and even where they are available, they are not very conspicuous as before the incident of the May 30th attack on their fallen colleagues at Obikabia Junction. Our cameras were not allowed to film in such places where the military men are stationed for obvious security reasons. The Abia main motor park has continued to witness a beehive of activities, especially the Milverton Avenue area, which is the hub of luxury bus business for passengers traveling to North and Lagos areas respectively. Our reporter went around the city and spoke with some residents on the situation. During the now suspended strike action by organized labor, workers across the country downed tools for a whole day. The nationwide industrial action was initiated by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress TUC over hike in electricity tariff and a lack of consensus on a new national minimum wage. The industrial action affected businesses and critical services across the country, including schools, hospitals and power supply, as workers complied with the Trade Union Congress and Labour Congress order. Activities were halted at airports across the country, including Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kaduna and Lagos. Activities were equally paused in schools as students who were already in school were sent back. The national grid was shut down by workers, throwing the nation into a blackout. There was a total compliance in Abia State with the strike ordered by the Nigerian NLC and TUC following the federal government's inability to accept its proposed 494,000 naira minimum wage. Federal establishments and the state secretariat were under lock and key as NLC officials guarding the gates of the offices ensured no one gained entrance. A visit by our correspondent Kingsley Chibuike to commercial banks located at Akano-Ibiam Road in Umuahia saw the financial institutions closed, with customers stranded, with no staff to attend to them. At Michael Okpara University of Agriculture Umudike, Abia State University Uturu, and Abia Polytechnic Aba, academic activities were grounded as lecturers deserted the classrooms in compliance with the strike. Also, state government-owned primary and secondary schools joined the strike as pupils and students were asked to go home. In the same vein, the Abia State High Court, Customary Court of Appeal, and the State Judicial Service Commission were under lock and key. Meanwhile, the Abia State chapter of the NLC says it has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the state government to implement the 30,000 naira minimum wage and 35,000 naira wage award approved by the federal government in November 2023. NLC Chairman, Abia State Chapter, Comrade Okoro Ogbonnaya, while confirming the development on our sister station, Enyimba FM's flagship news and current affairs program, Issues and Views, said that they are following due process. According to him, they are going to issue an additional 7-day ultimatum after the expiration of the 14 days, and if the state government refuses to comply, they would embark on an indefinite strike, which would commence after the national strike. Nigerian Army has reacted to the claim by organized labor that soldiers surrounded the venue of the negotiation meeting on the new minimum wage for workers. The leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress were last night in a meeting with the federal government representatives at the office of George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Shortly after the meeting commenced, the NLC posted on its X handle that soldiers were surrounding the venue of the negotiation. However, in a reaction, the Nigerian Army said the soldiers at the meeting venue are statutorily approved military escorts of Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor. The Army said the soldiers would escort Ribadu to leave the venue at the end of the meeting. Minister of Labour and Employment in Ururuka, Onyejocha, is assuring Nigerian workers that the 35,000 naira wage award approved for them by the federal government will continue until the new minimum wage is settled. Onyejocha, in a Monitor television interview, believes that Labour's action is not necessary because the government is doing its best to put a smile on the faces of Nigerians, including members of the Labour unions. She said the organized labor's demand for 494,000 naira as minimum wage is impossible because some states are yet to pay the 30,000 naira. The minister, who accused the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of failing to imbibe the spirit of social dialogue, said that their leaders were not patient enough to see through the negotiation they were having with the tripartite committee. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo says the visa face-off between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates has been settled. As such, he said the UAE government will soon lift the travel barrier, debarring Nigerians from visiting the UAE, especially Dubai. Keyamo made the disclosure at a welcome dinner for delegates attending the International Air Transport Association 80th Annual General Meeting and World Air Transport Summit taking place in Dubai, UAE. Enyimba TV News recalled President Bola Tinubu had in August 2023 waded into the dispute between the UAE and Nigeria over the issuance of visas, as well as the face-off with Emirates Airlines that had made the carrier stop flights into Nigeria. Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has frowned upon the festering practice of employing medical doctors as casual workers instead of giving them permanent employment. NARD made this known in a communique issued after its ordinary general meeting held in Kaduna. The association said it was particularly worrisome that the practice was gaining ground amid massive manpower shortages in government hospitals across the country. The resident doctors said the manpower gap had resulted in a high workload on their members in the country, as they asked the federal government to meet the demands of organized labor. You're watching Enyimba TV News. After the short break, the news continues with foreign, business, and sports updates. Please stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Now the news continues. U.S. Embassy in Congo said that Congolese authorities have not shared details or provided access to the Americans who were arrested following a coup attempt last month, following pleas for help from one family trying to confirm whether their son is alive. Congo's army has released the names of 3 Americans accused of having a role in the attack led by little-known opposition figure Christian Malanga on May 19. The State Department says one of its highest priorities is providing consular assistance to Americans detained abroad, including regular visits to ensure medical care and assisting with finding an English-speaking lawyer. Congolese authorities did not immediately respond. They have declined to say whether the Americans will appear in court. An army spokesman has said more details will come later. And now from the business sector, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, says it will pay a maximum of 5 million naira to each depositor of Heritage Bank following its license revocation. In a notice to depositors, the NDIC said the stipulated maximum payment is in line with extant laws in the case of revocation of licenses. Enyimba TV News gathered that the Central Bank of Nigeria revoked the banking license of Heritage Bank following the bank's inability to improve its financial performance. The NDIC, in the notice, said it has taken over Heritage Bank as the appointed liquidator. According to the statement, all depositors who have questions, or require further clarifications on their accounts or payments in the closed bank can contact the NDIC. And now sports. Enugu Rangers coach Fidelis Ilechukwu is looking forward to the potential title decider, a match day 35 fixture between the Flying Antelopes and reigning champions Enyimba at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. As the Nigerian Premier League football match title race intensifies, the Flying Antelopes' 4-point lead at the summit of the NPFL table was cut to 2 on Sunday after the league leaders played a goalless draw against Sporting Lagos at the Mobolaji Junction Arena on Ikon, Lagos. The result left them with 61 points after 34 games. 9-time champions Enyimba took advantage of the slip to close the gap between them and Rangers by beating Rivers United 4-1 in Abia on Sunday, thanks to braces from Chijioke Mboma and Elijah Akani. Another title contender breathing down the neck of Rangers are Remo Stars, who are only separated from Enyimba by a goal difference. With their 2-point lead, Rangers are on course for an 80th NPFL title, with their last triumph coming in 2016. With this sports story, we wrap up this edition of the news on Enyimba TV at this time. But before we go, here is a recap of the top stories. The nationwide strike action by Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress has been temporarily suspended. However, the industrial action paralyzed social and economic activities across the country while it lasted. The federal government says President Bola Tinubu is committed to a national minimum wage above 60,000 naira. This is coming in the wake of a nationwide industrial action by organized labor over hike in electricity tariff and a demand for increase in minimum wage for Nigerian workers, which has now been called off. Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has frowned upon the festering practice of employing medical doctors as casual workers instead of giving them permanent employment. That's our package of the news for now. Please join us for more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Click on the notification bell to receive alerts when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the production crew, I am Esther Chima. Thank you so much for watching.